Okay, the time is 1:35, and we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I want to remind the board members to make sure that they mute their mic and please stay on the camera, even though they have their mics that are muted. Okay. Anna, I'm going to let you go ahead and do the roll call right now.
Sure. Alicia Rivera, Presiding Officer.
Here.
Mr. Ron Robinson. Mr. Anthony Anderson. He should be joining us shortly. Miss Natalie Enderman.
Present.
Miss Mary Lindsay.
Present.
Miss Shelley Neff.
Present.
Mr. Roy Farley is absent. Miss Vanessa Robbins. Mr. Sam Webb.
Present.
Miss Debbie Wieland.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I would just like everyone to know that Aurora Farthing is our new board member. She was unable to attend today because she's traveling, but she will be at the next board meeting. So I wanted to just recognize her. At this time, we're going to call on Mary Winston to give the advisory board member training update.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone who has appeared and participated in our trainings previously. We've conducted several, and if anyone needs any help, any assistance, we are continuing to conduct them. But today I wanted to give a brief overview. This meeting is being conducted by video conference. The public is watching via live stream, and persons who signed up to make public comment will have a chance to do so later in the meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. Here are some tips to make sure we have a successful meeting. Please keep your microphones muted until you'd like to speak. Cuts down on the background noise. Please put all phones on silent and turn off any other sources of noise in your workspace. If at all possible, please avoid fidgeting too much. It draws the camera to you. It draws the viewer to you as a hand talker, and our hands disappear into the screen and all that. So we want to make sure that we are just making sure everyone's concentrating on the subject at hand. Please state your name before you begin to speak and raise your hand if you'd like to speak. There are methods and there are raise hand features on these different platforms, but our presiding officer is trying to conduct her meeting, and all of the folks in the background are also working furiously behind the scenes to make sure everything goes off without a hitch, and we may miss you. So if you just raise your hand, the presiding officer will call on you, unmute yourself, and you'll be able to make your statement. If you have any problems connecting during the meeting, try to let the presiding officer know. We have staff working in the office to assist with connectivity issues. Stay on camera during the meeting, even if you're not speaking. If you need a recess, let the presiding officer know. Raise your hand visibly on the camera, and I'm sure she will oblige the request. If you get inadvertently disconnected from the meeting, rejoin the meeting using the same link that you used to initially join the meeting. We are now conducting all meetings virtually, and we've held several. Using this new medium, we know that we have some connectivity issues, some minor blips here and there, possibly a few awkward moments. No worries, we will deal with them in real time and take a small recess if we need to. These things are anticipated and they are okay. We will adjust. We'll go through each agenda item and we'll take care of everything that we need to act on. Thank you, members, for coming today, and thank you for the public for participating in this meeting. Presiding Officer Rivera.
Thank you. We're going to move down to the approval of the minutes from February the 10th of 2020. I'm going to ask the members to take a look over the minutes. I'm going to give them just a few minutes to look over that, and then I'm going to need to make someone's going to need to make a motion. Anna, can you share that document with us?
The minutes? Yes, let me pull those up for you.
Okay. As we're waiting for Anna to pull up the minutes, I just want to remind the board members that when you're making a motion, if you will please say your name, that way we're able to who's actually making that motion.
Please let me know if there's any areas that you need me to pause on.
Mary Winston, TDLR, and so it's not to make anyone dizzy. You're moving at a perfect pace, Anna. That's fantastic. But I know that everyone also has a copy of these minutes that we did email to you.
Natalie Enderman here. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as is if everyone has had time to read them.
I need to get a second.
This is Mary Lindsay, and I'll second the approval of the minutes.
Anna, can you do a roll call vote?
Of course. Natalie Enderman,
Approve.
Mary Lindsay,
Approve.
Shelley Neff,
Approve.
Aurora Farthing, Vanessa Robbins, Mr. Webb,
Yes. Aye.
Debbie Wieland,
Approved.
Mr. Anderson. I saw Mr. Anderson just for a second. Sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. We are trying to approve the minutes of the last meeting,
Okay.
and we have a motion
I
on the
approve.
floor by Natalie Enderman to approve the minutes.
Okay. You need a second?
We have a second. We just need your vote.
Oh, aye.
Thank you. Ron Robinson is absent, and Presiding Officer Alicia Rivera.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you, Anna. At this time, we're going to move line item G7E to the top of the agenda there. We're going to go ahead and at this time, we're going to move it to focus on the retirement of license number 700952. And this is going to be, I think, it's going to be for Ron and Jemison, Glenda Jemison, for their retirement. And I think we have some people who want to speak, correct, Anna?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Mary has a little presentation for y'all.
Anna, have we let them in from the waiting room?
Yes, Mr. Jemison is here. Mr. Jemison Jr., he's the presiding officer of our advisory board on barbering. He is here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So if you
awesome.
could show your video so we can see you. There you are.
Okay. He just finished one meeting, so he's a little less formal now. He doesn't have to he doesn't have to sit in his room. He's on the move. Okay, Anna, thank you. I'm going to read now from just a wonderful little piece that just sums up the Jamisons. We do have Ron Jr. on with us, who is sort of standing instead for his parents. So Ronald Sr. and Glenda Jemison became the owners of the Franklin Beauty School in Houston in the late 1960s. The family business was established in 1915 in San Antonio by Madam Anne A. Franklin, who was one of the few people who sold Black beauty products at that time. The business continued to be handed down through the generations, and as time passed, it grew into a school. On June 28, 1978, Mr. and Mrs. Jemison received their current cosmetology license number, which they've had for the past 42 years. Throughout their amazing 51 years of ownership, they have seen their community grow and have been a part of creating countless careers in the Houston area and beyond. At the end of the year, December 31st of this year, they will officially retire their license number and pass their legacy down to their children, who will continue to run the school. Brothers Ron Jr. and Sean will be the fourth generation to own the business. They are not new to the business, however. They began working with their parents in 1999. The fifth generation has also begun their journey into the profession. Ron Jr.'s daughter, Bria, is a licensed stylist and has her own business. Today, TDLR salutes you, Mr. and Mrs. Jemison. You are an asset to the cosmetology industry and to the state of Texas, and we want to say thank you.
Awesome. Well, as y'all see, I'm driving, and I just want to say thank y'all for the awesome tribute to my family. I do apologize on their behalf. My father he might be listening because he always is, but he had to drop my mother off to a doctor's appointment for the dentist. So they couldn't be here at 1:30. I do apologize for that, and they do apologize. But as y'all know them, they will go back on the YouTube and watch this tape over and over, and they so much appreciate the fact that when they saw the email that TDLR was gonna honor them, they were like, "Whoa, it's real." So it's amazing to be coming behind such great role models. My wife and I talk about it all the time as far as them doing that many years of school business. It'd be different if you were running a shop, but a school is another level of dealing with people of all walks of life and having an effect on people's lives all the time. And I hope that we can even come half as close as what they've done. So I want to thank y'all for being there for them, and hopefully they were able to bring something to the table when they were at the meetings as well. So thank you.
Mr. Brian Francis has something he would like to say.
Madam Chair, first of all, it's exciting to see you leading this group, and we're going to provide you all the support that you need. I know you can do a fantastic job. I say that as a lead-in to when the program was first transferred to TDLR, I think we all can say in the room, the marriage was prearranged and not everybody was happy. It was an intense moment. The beautiful pride that is cosmetology, they were concerned about not having their own board and their own commission. And Glenda Jemison was so critical to the transition. Her voice of being somebody who was part of the Cosmetology Commission, but also coming over as part of the advisory board, it gave credibility. It gave credibility to the moment. we all know that Glenda's no wallflower. So she wasn't backing down. She was making sure that the cosmetologists were honored, that they were respected in this transition. Her wisdom that she provided, and how she kept, Mr. Jemison in line, sitting on the front row at every meeting, holding her purse, was fantastic to watch. I learned how to hold my wife's purse by watching him. It's a tribute. But in all seriousness, when I think about the legacy today, 2020, if you're not reflecting on where you are today and where you've come from in 2020, then you have problems, because it really gives us a lot of time to reflect on what's important, what's valuable, what means something today. And thinking about the legacy that the Jemisons had during that time when they created school, and carrying that forward, and now possibly touching that on to the 5th generation, that's rare. That's a rare accomplishment. It means that there was a lot of conversations at the family kitchen table about how business was going to be run. There were a lot of conversations about what their values are and how they're going to impart those values to their students, and how those students were going to go out and become business women and business men to make a difference in their families' lives and their communities' lives. It's a testament. And so I just want to commend the Jemisons for their longstanding commitment to excellence. TDLR is a better organization. The cosmetology community is a better community because of their participation. We all have a lot of work to do to fill those shoes. So Ron, tell your mother and father we love them. Tell them that I know that when he drove her to the dentist's office, he was holding that purse again, and I'm sure it was that 10 quality diamond star purse holding technique that he always exhibits. But let them know we love them and we're thinking about them, and take care. Be safe, man. I can't back up when I'm looking at it.
I know you're watching me back up. I'm doing my thing. That's that new
Thank
way.
you, Miss.
As long as I can put my phone on a stand, I'm all right. Right? Hands free. That's that new technology. Thank you very much for that. And like I said, I know my father's watching. He just probably chimed in another way. I think he's learning technology from what I understand. So he has a cell phone that he told me he saw the meeting this morning, and so I was like, oh, okay. He said, but I didn't know how to talk. I said, you probably were muted, but it's all good. But my mother is probably sitting in the chair getting numbed up right now in the dentist's office. So I'm sure he'll play this back for her this evening on a larger screen and then a telephone. But you said something that was very instrumental. TCC, that was an interesting piece. To know that my grandfather was the first African American appointed to the commissioner's office. To the Commission of Cosmetology, and then my father ended up being the second African American in the 80s. And so, I know that if people follow me on the Barber Advisory Board, that was something that was very, very touching to me to know that I followed in both my parents' footsteps and my grandfather as well. And so, becoming a part of the industry and understanding how much passion and dedication they had with raising 2 kids. My mother, hold on, my mother always cooked breakfast in the morning, and to see her go to work every day and touch people's lives and still be in charge and lead, by example, it's awesome to see. So, we're gonna miss them, and they still here with me, so it's all good. But I thank y'all very much.
I just want to say something real quick. I just want to say on behalf of all the board members, the cosmetology board members, and myself, is that we really just want to honor her, and we, both of them. But with her, I actually was able to work with her, through being on the advisory board, and she was such a go-getter, and I loved her so much, and she's going to be missed. But I just want them to have a great retirement, and come and visit us anytime.
Thank you.
Okay,
Presiding Officer,
yes, ma'am.
before we move to the next agenda item, I did note that you noted we have 2 absent members, and we just want their absences to be excused for the day.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move to line item E, and I'm going to call Lee Ferrum and David Gonzalez to speak on the behalf of Elizabeth B.B. Perez's retirement.
Good afternoon, Presiding Officer Rivera and board members. I'm David Gonzalez, Deputy Executive Director of Licensing. Deputy Executive Director Brian Francis. Some executive support, take a little bit of load off his shoulders. And since we have 40 programs to administer, I think he appreciates it. A lot has happened since our February meeting, and we are dedicating this part of the agenda to celebrating the service of some of our TDLR employees. And Anna, if you could go ahead and put the PowerPoint up, I appreciate it. You see Miss Elizabeth B.B. Perez there in your sights. Now, every couple of years, the legislature has looked to TDLR for transferring programs, and there's little doubt that we're going to try to do our best to get the job done. But an important reminder to note is that none of this happens without key people sharing the historical program knowledge. And Elizabeth B.B. Perez is one of those people for TDLR. You'll notice she was started the service back in 1977. She didn't join TDLR in 2005, but we could not have done this work without her. In between our last meeting and this meeting, you'll see August 31st, 2020 is when her official date was. She was my introduction really to the cosmetology and barber programs. I came from a construction background, and there's no way I would have learned as much as I did without her help. And you know what? She's kind of ornery. She didn't just go with the flow. She always brought to our attention the things we needed to hear. And it's difficult and foolish to chart a path forward without studying what's happened in the past. And that's what B did. She spoke truth to power always. She was also kind enough to hold our hands and educate us newbies, me and Lee and everybody at the agency that was new to the cosmetology program, what we needed to know. Whether it was the Armstrong McCall Hair Show or the Beauty Culturalist League in Beaumont, I always enjoyed the education and the times that I was able to spend with BB and share some of the moments. If Anna, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, wanted to let her see some of these photos where she brought smiles. The people that are around her, surrounding her, those smiles are not manufactured. Obviously, everybody says smile for the pictures. This is the working environment that BB helped create at TDLR. And so her being there, making the work happen, and it was hard, as Brian alluded to earlier, there's not a bed of roses making the transition. We weren't necessarily the popular kids on the block, but with guidance and help, we were able to get that done. And so go ahead into the next slide, Ms. Anna. We're hoping that retirement is not the end of the road, and she's already said she was able to join us in the barber meeting that it is not. Hopefully it means lots of travel to her vacation home in Mexico or to the Alabama Cachada in Louisiana, maybe do some gambling. I know that's something that she enjoys doing with her husband. So hopefully it means a lot of that for her. And we're going to be honoring her and have honored her. If you go to the next slide, Ms. Anna. So this is what the family looks like at TDLR, some of the pictures. That flag right there, that's a representation of a flag that we have had flown at the Texas Capitol on her behalf. So it's going to honor Elizabeth B.B. Perez from TDLR and the Texas House of Representatives for her service to the state of Texas. And I'm just glad that we're able to do and honor her in that fashion because she deserves it. She put in a lot of hard work. One more point, and this is kind of a surprise to us. During her time that she announced her retirement, we had another retirement get announced in a short time period. And it was kind of like a quick pitch that they do in softball. If y'all are familiar with sports, in softball, you run somebody up to the plate and they're trying to get set for their bat. if the pitcher throws the ball really quickly, you can catch him off guard. Well, there's a person at TDLR who has also submitted their retirement to us effective October 15th. She was trying to do a quick pitch on us, and her name is Marinella LaFleur. I want to honor Marinella LaFleur at this time as well, because quite frankly, they were partners in crime. Back when BB came over initially with the program, there was Margie, and she was the other side of the coin, the barber and the cosmetology side. But Marinella was always there. She came with the programs as well. She was education examination division staff. She was so instrumental in getting the work done. She had the technical expertise. She had the license, much history. She's often had to be our expert witness for cases or for litigation that may have occurred. Also been with the agency for a long time, started October 1990 with serving the state of Texas, but joined us again in 2005, just like BB. And it was a great surprise. I was just getting over BB's retirement announcement. When Marinella made hers, it was quite a shock. Move on to the next slide, Ms. Anna. Again, the shared memories, the times that we spent since 2005 trying to make this program happen, it's been a big deal. And I wanted to let Marinella know as well, and the public know, that in her honor, she too will be receiving a flag flown over the state capitol of Texas in her honor for services to the state of Texas. And it's well deserved. It's the least that we can do to honor these two individuals. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Lee, who's actually known them for longer than I have. And anybody else that wants to step up. Some of our staff have words to share, and also if the advisory board wants to share as well. So I'll turn it over at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Madam Chair, if I may proceed.
Yes, you can.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Well, we're here to really congratulate and honor BB and Marinella now that that news has been made public. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank both of you in my own way. So, you know, here goes. The, you know, I'm Lee Parham. I'm the deputy director in the RPM division, and BB and Marinella were hired at TDLR in 2005, as mentioned earlier, with the transfer of the Barber Board and Cosmetology Commission. I actually want to thank both of them from the bottom of my heart for introducing the agency and me to hair shows, okay? And for also teaching us all about the barber and cosmetology industries. I mean, I'm a guy from the well drilling and boxing world, and my first hair show was a real eye-opener for me. It was wonderful. You two ladies helped make it fun to go to work. And I personally want to thank you both for your patience and understanding, okay, when it came to tutoring and helping me learn your industries. You always answered all of my questions and gave me great insight into the barbering and cosmetology worlds. So congratulations, BB, congratulations, Marinella, and we all want you to have wonderful retirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Mr. Brian
Madam
Francis
Chair.
would like to say something.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Brian Francis, Executive Director with TDLR. I'm going to miss these two ladies so much. They are, when people think about the cosmetology program coming to TDLR and the good things about it, they think about Marinella and BB. The bad things were me, and they tried to stop me, but sometimes I made mistakes, but they were so talented in their approach. A couple of words I wrote down. No, I've got to go all the way back. When the program was first coming over, Bill Kuntz, the executive director at the time, we had an opportunity to go over and meet with the Cosmetology Commission staff. We wanted to assure them they're going to have a place and home at TDLR. Out the periphery, we were able to watch some of them work. And the work ethic of BB and Marinella was ridiculous. BB had given out her personal cell phone to help and assist the licensees get through. I mean, her own personal cell phone, they were calling her at home and all times of the hours that she was answering it. Marinella couldn't go to a hair show anywhere in the state of Texas without somebody saying, "You were my examiner. You're the one who gave me my license." The two of you exhibited kindness. BB was extremely direct. Now, she didn't play, but kindness, compassion, hard work, the knowledge that you had allowed our examination process to become stronger and better as we move forward. I can tell a lot about a person's character by how they interact with people who look different than what they do. I can tell a lot about a person. And BB and Marinelle, watching comfort and respect that you showed to the beauty culturist group, they used to be in awe that they loved you and you loved them because you respected them as people, and that meant so much. You have touched, literally, talked to literally hundreds of thousands of our licensees. You taken the hair shows you've done, they have come and you have answered hundreds and thousands of questions. You are our program. They didn't see Bill Coons, they didn't see Brian Francis, they didn't see Ray Pizarro, they saw you. You are our program, and you made it possible for us to have a human connection to their needs. I'm going to miss y'all so much. BB, we've shared some tears together. You know that. Marinella, you and I have hugged when hugging was allowed before COVID. And we've talked through some things and talked about your child going to A&M and all those beautiful stories that made it real. I'm going to miss you too. We're going to honor what you've created here and try to do the very best. I was thinking, BB, that you and Marinella are like every great invention that's been out there. So you're sliced bread, you're the automobile, you're the internet, you're virtual meetings, you're everything that was good that's been created in this world of cosmetology. And so we're going to miss you so much, but I'm so happy for you. And BB, if you want to come back, you know, we didn't brought you back once before. Let me know. Whisper in the brother's ear, okay? I'm going to miss y'all. I love y'all very much.
Presiding Officer Rivera, I would like to say a few words.
Sure.
This is Ray Pizarro, Director for Education Examination Division. I know everybody has said a lot of beautiful things about these two ladies and what they meant to us and what they mean to us and what they mean to the program. But I want to give you an example of something that probably a lot of you don't know what happened behind the scenes. When the program came over in 2005, TCC was gone. They basically shut the doors, and we had to take over as TDLR, as an agency. We had no way of administering that exam right away. That examination that's being done at PSI did not occur till March of 2006. We're talking a big window here with hundreds of people trying to test. We put together, and Marinella led this up. We put together an examination that they were doing at TCC. We did a makeshift temporary examination site, and you should see what they've done. We were pretty much, she basically said, step out of my way, and we got this. And they made it happen. Between BB, Letty, Paulette, BB, all of them, they really put this together, and they made the agency shine because of that. That was a big thing, and a lot of people didn't see the hiccup on their side because it all happened behind the scenes, but we made it happen. And even till today, to the very last days that they've been here with us, they have put together and helped the subject matter expert create a better and bigger and more safe exam for those people in Texas. She was part of that. They were part of that, and they made it happen. Yes, you know, there's a lot of people behind the scenes in RPM and E&E. We all help, but they led the charge. They really did, and they did an outstanding job, and I will miss them, and I wish them the best.
Thank you, Ray.
Would anybody else like to say any words?
Presiding Officer. I think I saw Steve Bruno and then Letty.
Okay.
Steve, you are muted. Let's one more time. Steve, you want to try it? You are still muted. So we're going to see if we can get in. Letty, do you have sound, Presiding Officer? Let's try to work through this little hiccup.
Okay.
Letty?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Letty Grantham. BB Marinette. Thank you for your inspiration, motivation, and knowledge you brought to the Cosmetology and Barber program. There's many memories, but one that I remember clearly was we were at a hair show in Dallas, and Margie Weaver was driving. She makes a wrong turn, goes into the monorail, and there it comes our way. Luckily, the monorail was coming to a stop, so that was good. Margie made an immediate U-turn, and there I was in the back, like popcorn, popping around, freaking out, and you were in the front seat, just cool as can be, or frozen. But anyway, so I remember that clearly. Marinella, so many memories too. Our division had a staff of 8. And out of so many memories, one I remember clearly where we played I didn't. A prank was played on you, and it was funny. And not at first, but it was funny. Do you remember when you lifted up your cabinet and then confetti fell all over your desk and the floor and everything? Oh my gosh. I don't know which of the boys did it. No, I don't know. But anyway.
I remembered. It was Ray.
Yes, I didn't want to say. But anyway, that was one of many fun memories. Again, congratulations to you both, BB and Marinella, on your retirement. Love you guys.
Thank you, Letty.
Thank you.
Presiding Officer Rivera, may I speak?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much for recognizing me. My name is Eric Beverly, Government Relations with TDLR. BB and Marinella, I want to thank you both for your many years of service to the people of the state of Texas. BB, since 1977, that's incredible. And Marinella, since 1990. And since you both have come to TDLR at 2005, you have been invaluable. Your work and legacy has improved the health and safety for countless Texans. When I joined TDLR nearly 4 years ago, I quickly learned that if I had a question about cosmetology, I needed to reach out to BB and Marinella. I have come to rely on your unique perspectives, your vast experience, and your insights into this profession. I'm going to greatly miss you both, my friends, and I wish you long, happy, and healthy retirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Madam Chair, may I have a few moments?
Yes. Hello. Yes,
Hi. Rebecca Artemis, Education Examination Liaison. I just want to wish you both the best. You two have been an integral part in my growth here. You two have been my go-to ladies since I started here at TDLR, and I will forever, ever, ever be grateful to both of you. I will miss our travels together, our dinners, our shooting pool in the evenings, our walks, and just being able to call you individually when I needed some help. I will miss you both tremendously during our ERCs, but I know that you two will still be around for me to bug, and that you just have the best time. Enjoy your retirement. I love you both so much, and God's blessings to you both.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. This is Tanya Guthrow, the Director of Field Inspections. And I really want to say thank you to both Bibi and Marianella on behalf of all of the field staff. You're always there for them when they're out in the field and they have a quick question or they've run into something that, you know, in this ever-evolving industry is new. And I know that they are going to miss relying on you, and just thank you for all your years of service to not only your coworkers, but to the citizens of Texas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya.
Tanya.
May I say a quick word?
Can you state your name, please?
Sorry, my name is Molly Feudel. I believe I have a little bit of delay on the audio. I'm an assistant general counsel here at TDLR, and I wanted to just say a quick word to Bibi and Marianella before they go. Well, after they go, since Bibi's already gone. But I wanted to speak on behalf of the entire Office of General Counsel and thank them so much for all their service. I know if Brad Bowman were here, he would say thank you for going the extra mile always to lend us your expertise. And I would say in my short time working with Bibi and Marianella, I am so impressed with just the level of expertise. You guys really know your stuff and you are not reluctant to share that with us, and we really appreciate that. Also, you have a great passion for the practice and for the industry, and it's really amazing and inspiring. So we just want to congratulate you and thank you so much. And please go and enjoy your well-deserved retirement.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Molly.
Presiding Officer, we are not able to hear from Steve Bruno. He's having some audio issues. But I need to wanted me to say something for him. He says, thank you both for all of your help you gave him since he started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna.
Oh, wait, hold on. He's got a little more. And congratulations to both of you who I met as coworkers, and now I say goodbye to great friends.
Thank you.
Steve.
Presiding Officer?
Yes.
I think Mary Winston, TDLR, I think we have covered all staff who wanted to speak additionally on just thanking Bibi and Marianella. It's like peanut butter and jelly for being with us and wishing them well and happiness in their retirement. And before we move forward to the next agenda item, we will need to take a motion to approve the absences of the two members.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and make a motion.
Natalie Inderman.
I need a second.
Shelley Nath, I second that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Ron Robinson, Mr. Anthony Anderson, Natalie Inderman,
Approved.
Mary Lindsay,
Approved.
Shelley Nath,
Approved.
Aurora Farthing, Vanessa Robbins, Sam Webb,
Approved.
and Debbie Wieland. And Alicia Rivera, Presiding Officer.
Approved.
Thank you, ma'am. That motion passes.
Thank you so much. Mary Winston, one more time. I just wanted to make sure we got all the staff to say goodbye, but just wanted to make sure if Bibi, Marianella, have they left the room? Nope, I see Marianella, I see Bibi. I have the Brady Bunch view, so I have to look at all the boxes. If they wanted to say anything, because we've held them all day today, but I want to give them a chance to, particularly BB, she's already left us, and Marinella, we love you too, but we have just a little bit more time with you. If they want to say anything to the group before we move on.
Well, I just want to thank everyone, I guess, for putting up with me too, because I know sometimes I was hard to deal with, but I loved what I did. And I mean, it's been a good 43-year run. And I think it was just time, like they say, you know when it's time to bow out, and it was time to bow out. So other than that, hopefully, we can attend a couple of shows and run into some of the old people that we used to talk with and enjoy. So I thank everybody. I love everybody I worked with, but I think I'm gonna love retirement a little more. So I'm good. Like they say, peace out.
Oh, and I'm choking up here. I just want to say it was really wonderful working with everyone in the industry and staff. I met a lot of good people in the industry, and I've always had y'all in my heart. Anytime I wanted or thought about things, about new law changes, I always thought about the industry. And I thank y'all for all the kind words. And I'm still going to be around in some form or way. I mean, y'all haven't gotten rid of me completely, but I'll be there in some form. I felt like it was time for me to go. I've done what I needed to, and I just feel like things are changing, and it's time for someone else to take it. So, thank you.
Would the advisory board members like to say anything? Okay, Mary Lindsay.
This is Mary Lindsay, and I will miss you too greatly. We appreciate everything you've done for the cosmetology industry and supporting us when sometimes we didn't think our voice was being heard, and you would say, yes, they're listening, and we appreciate everything you've done for us, and we'll miss you so much. And thanks again for always being there to support and help cosmetology in every aspect of its way back from TCC, and bringing us forward to TDLR was very, very helpful when we had someone there to speak in behalf. So thank you, and blessings to you, and hope everything goes well for your retirement. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mary.
This is Natalie Enderman, and I would just like to thank you both for your service and remind you what an impact you've made on our industry, especially for devoting so many years and bringing your knowledge from TCC moving forward to TDLR, and just your friendship. I appreciate your friendship. It means a lot, and you two will always be very special to me, and I hope to remain in contact and see the impact that you make from the retirement side, because you will always have an impact in our industry. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie.
Is there anyone else? Well, I'll take my turn then. I just want to say it has been an honor to be able to work with two great people that have helped sculpt my career, not only as being in the position that I am in now, but also with helping our industry grow, always having our back, always keeping us up to date on the things that need to be kept up to date on. There is no one that's going to be able to take your place, that's for sure. And I just want you guys to know that this is, although you're not going to be working in this capacity, I know that this is not the end, that it's only going to be the beginning of something greater. And I just want you guys to know, ooh, I'm getting kind of choked up, is that we love and appreciate you so much and so dearly. This is, peace and goodwill, and God bless.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Miss y'all.
Okay. I know we're going to go ahead and we're going to go move into the public comment. Are they?
Yes, ma'am. We have two people who are going to speak during today's meeting. We have Gloria Prince and we have Pandora Freestone. The first speaker is Gloria Prince. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes to speak. Our board members are not allowed to make a comment or ask any questions regarding your comment, as that is not on the advisory board agenda. So once your 3 minutes is up, we will thank you and you will be dismissed from the meeting. Go ahead, ma'am. Your 3 minutes begin now. Oh, ma'am, you're muted.
Better? Thank you for letting me speak this afternoon. And I do want to say that I appreciate the job that you guys do. I've been in the business for a long time, so I do so appreciate it. I just really feel like maybe this time that there is a problem with some of the choices. I read through the staff report of the Sunset Commission that they wrote, and I do feel like there are a couple of things on there as far as doing away with instructor's license that I need to express my opinion on. And it is truly that, just my opinion. Again, I've been in this business for a long time. I've had my instructor's license 32 years. It is my passion and it is such a privilege to teach. It just means a lot to have an instructor's license. I can do hair, but I can also teach. A couple of the reasons, though, I was that being some people choose every day in their field of business to move on to a different level. They realize this does take money, this does take time out of their life, but they make the choice to move on. So to me, it's more of a choice than a burden. If the burden is the tuition, then somebody needs to be taking care of those expensive schools in that area. But again, I feel like it is a choice, and people do this every day in all walks of life. They want to move to the next level. As far as being duplicative, I understand there are so many licenses under the barbering and cosmetology umbrellas. And I do agree with combining these two fields. That would take so much work out of so many things, including just making one license for people to work under and one license to teach under. I mean, that would simplify things for a lot of schools, for people, for TDLR. So I do agree with that, and I think that might be an answer. But an instructor, again, is a freedom for any experienced operator to pursue. As far as protecting the public, we teach TDLR standards and regulations and rules to do our job. But it seems to be that on page 42, it talked about the where there had not been any disciplinary actions. I think 13 in the last 5 years out of 6,600 licensing. So it seems like we are doing our jobs as instructors. We take the title, the piece of paper that says instructor, very seriously. So my colleagues and I are just asking you to reconsider and maybe to put all into working a combination out between the two and then going from there as far as licensing. And I do appreciate this chance to, again, thank you so much. And thank you for all the work you do. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, Ms. Prince.
Thank you, Ms. Ross.
The next public comment we have is from Pandora Freestone. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes to speak. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much, and I want to say thank you to the advisory members and all our members for allowing me to speak. I want to speak about the Sunset Board's recommendations. The first recommendation, oh, by the way, I'm Pandora Freestone, and I'm currently the Legislative Officer for Community College Cosmetology Educators of Texas. And we have no problem with the combination of the barbering and the cosmetology. But we really do take issue with the second recommendation, which is the elimination of instructor licenses. I've been teaching this course for the last several years. I'm currently teaching it, and this is a real disservice to our profession. I don't feel that just anyone off the street, just some licensed operator, could walk into a classroom and teach with no prior training. I know I never could have. The recommendation, of course, doesn't even mention where this idea came from. It's kind of out of the blue. So that's bothersome. There are hundreds of us who teach for secondary and post-secondary schools. We would not even be able to get a job without the proper training and certifications. It's really going to limit our employment opportunities for those of us that have worked so hard in this industry and worked for proper training for us and our students. There's way more to instruction than just standing in front of a classroom and demonstrating a haircut, say. This is proven from the 20 chapters we teach from in our Milady textbook to train instructors. And let me just throw a few of those out there. First, we cover topics such as learning environments, testing skills, learning styles and principles, methods of teaching and learning, how to communicate confidently, effective presentations, classroom management, supervision, achieving learner results, program development, lesson planning, educational aids and technology, assessing progress and advising students, career and employment preparation, the art of retaining students, the relationships, teacher success strategies, and many other topics I don't have time for in 3 minutes. But they also get the experience of working with students in a lab atmosphere and learning to speak to those students in a professional manner and learning how to demonstrate professionally while supervised by a licensed instructor. So these are all things that we do, not to mention those of us in state and federal funded institutions that have to be aware of federal laws and state laws. All of those things require a whole lot of work as well. And we did want to make one quick comment on wigology as well and the health considerations thereof. A lot of wig wearers are people that are dealing with serious health concerns, cancer patients and the like. So that certainly doesn't encompass everybody, but we feel like that is a large enough item, a large enough consideration to where that really does not need to be deregulated. There's too many health considerations there. So we sincerely hope you'll consider all the negative effects of eliminating the instructor license, especially before you make your decision. And thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It looks like we lost our presiding officer, Alicia Rivera. She's having some networking issues. So let's take a 5-minute break to see if we can get her back on. We'll be back at 2:38.
like to call the meeting to order. And now we are into the licensing division reports. Can I hear?
Thank you very much. This is Dawn Lopez, licensing manager for this program. Good afternoon, members. I will be providing the licensing division staff report. We have a couple of personnel updates. I have 2 vacancies right now in my section. Mary, were you getting ready to say something? Darn it.
You're muted, Mary.
We're having a delay, y'all. This is just what happens. We want to make sure that whoever's not speaking, we want to unmute because we're having background noise until we speak again. And then I was muted and couldn't unmute. Sorry.
Thank you, Mary. As I was saying, we have 2 vacancies in my section. This is causing us to have a little bit of a backlog. We are soliciting and we are getting staff from other divisions to assist us. Right now, we currently have 5 staff that are helping us out, and I was just informed about noon today that we were going to get some more assistance from another division. So we're looking forward to that. And then you'll see below that we've got the licensing statistics as well. I've got it divided out between instructors, operators, specialty licenses, student permits, shops, and schools. And then we've got the overall cosmetology population versus the TDLR entire population. You'll see based comparing the population from last fiscal year to this fiscal year, it has not slowed down at all. We are still continuing to get applications in. We are still working. We have been since the pandemic began. We've got staff coming in to scan, and that is allowing us to continue our work in the division. That concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Did the advisory members have any questions? If not, we can move on to the customer service.
Hi, good afternoon, board members. This is Jocelyn with Customer Service, and I present our report, which includes the number of phone calls and emails we've received monthly in our division for fiscal year 2020. We were also asked to provide overall the amount of calls and emails we received this year related to COVID-19. So you'll see that report as well. Most recently, our calls and emails are focused back on application instructions, folks, moving into the state from other states or other needing instructions, renewal information, law and rule clarification, credit card payments, and things like that. Can I answer any questions on the reports?
This is Mary Lindsay. That sounds good. If there are no questions, we can go to the education and examination division.
Good afternoon, advisory board members. My name is Rebecca Armas. I'm the Education and Examination Liaison, and I'll be providing my report for you today. First, we're going to start off with some of the statistics. I wanted to point out to page 3 of the statistics where we show an uptake in how well our candidates are doing in the examinations. It looks like we were starting off a little low at 50% the first quarter, and by fourth quarter into fiscal year, our written examination for operator is about 53, almost 54%. So that's a good sign that we're covering what we need to cover, and our students are taking advantage of study materials and grasping the concept. I also wanted to, I know that one of the things that this board has always looked at is the instructor
examinations as well. And if you go towards the bottom of that fourth quarter tab, you'll see that our instructor written examination has also gone up from last quarter of 52%, and they've gone up to 60%. So we are definitely making some positive strides on the examination front when it comes to the scores and how they're performing. Moving on, I wanted to just address some of the things that we've done as a division for the rule implementation. As you know, our operator program has gone down from 15,000 hours to 1,000. And there have been many little things that have gone in place. We were starting to prepare for this almost a year ago now. And starting in May, we were making the adjustments to have only the 1,000-hour course be available to everyone in Shears. We also want to thank everyone for getting back to us, to getting those curriculum approvals back to us in a timely manner so that everyone is good to go and able to enroll your new students into Shears under that 1,000-hour program. With that, we also have a little change. We have for our high school programs, you're still going to have the blue certificate. And for the high school programs, another thing you're going to see at the top, it'll also state whether you are a credit hour school or not. And for our private and community college, you'll be receiving the green certificate to display, and that'll be also indicating whether or not you're a credit hour school at the top. So those are just some of the brief changes that we've taken in place. We've adjusted Shears. We are here for you. Remember that the Shears tab, where you go to the Shears page, that feedback tab is your direct line to our education and examination. That Shears tab is meant for you as schools to go ahead and comment on any needs that you have regarding hours or drops, anything. Please feel free to use that, and we'll be able to help you out as soon as we can. And moving on to our COVID response as a division, one of the things we did was allow for, actually as an agency, we wanted to make sure that our students were being taken care of in the state under these unprecedented times, that you were allowed to offer 100% instruction online. So if some schools decided to come back and you're 50-50, you still can offer that. Just remember that you just must properly account for the time, but you can still offer 100% online. There is no limit. Just be sure that when you're posting them into Shears that you're putting them in as regular hours earned and not under the distance education, because it causes a little glitch in our system for programming. So we just want to make sure that anybody hearing just remembers that. Again, if you have any questions on that, please feel free to use that Shears feedback button as well. Our examination front, we know that for a little while, just like the rest of the world, they were shut down for a little bit. And so now to come back, they are not at 50% because, again, nobody is open 50% right now. Oh, is there, hello?
Oh, we have our presiding officer back.
It's here. She got back in. Oh, but she's spinning.
Okay. Sorry about that, Rebecca.
It's okay. It's okay. We want her back. So I just wanted to touch base on the examination front. So again, there is a backlog because they were shut down for a few months from March to May. So what we've done now is they are not open at 50. They're not open at 100% capacity. They're between 50 and 75, depending on social distancing guidelines. They want to make sure our candidates are safe. So we've asked PSI, and we're working with them to have some additional third-party written sites that have become available, which has helped tremendously get all of our candidates in all of our different industries that take a written examination, tested. We know that there is still going to be a backlog, and we just ask everybody to hang tight. We're working on other avenues to get everyone tested. We know that the demand is high. We're trying our best. We're working with our vendor to get everybody tested, in a timely manner. But we know that there is a delay right now. Again, we're not all operating at 100%, but we're trying really hard to get everyone tested, because we know that the goal of everyone is to get everybody back to work. And I believe that concludes, actually, I'm sorry, it doesn't conclude. I've got one last thing I want to just mention, is that although we are not able to go out in person, I am available to have any type of outreach with you. Site visits, we can do these virtually. I actually did one with some of the schools in the Valley. We did a Zoom call where we just had a Q&A session just to make sure that they felt a little comfortable about the upcoming school year that was just starting.
and I am free to do that. You'll just submit the site visit request form and we'll work on a virtual site visit for you and your school. And that concludes my report.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you. This is Mary Lindsay. Is Alicia back?
Can you see me?
No.
I'm so sorry. I'm having.
Are you ready to take over?
I don't, if they can't see me, you're going to have to finish it, I believe. Is that not
I
correct,
can
Hannah?
see your name with an A. I mean, your circle. So.
Mary Winston, TDLR.
Okay.
Since we are still having some difficulty, Ms. Lindsay, if you will continue to go through, thank you, Alicia, for being able to partially get back on, and we'll keep working with that. But if you could continue to go through staff reports, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca. And now we're ready for the Enforcement Division reports.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, advisory board members. My name is Victoria Mesa. I'm a prosecutor for the Enforcement Division, and I will be presenting enforcement's report to you today. Thank you all for being here, and I'll be covering personnel updates, key statistics for cosmetology program, including our top 10 most common violations, and concluding with 5 cases that we feel represent the work that our division does on behalf of the cosmetology program. So first of all, we have several personnel updates for you. On August 31st, we had our investigation manager, Greg Dodson, retired after 22 years of service with TDLR. Greg oversaw the investigation section within the Enforcement Division, which includes 42 investigators. This position is currently posted on the department's website, and we hope to conduct interviews soon. On August 31st, Prosecution Legal Assistant Manager Daryl Kuntz retired after 18 years of service with TDLR. Daryl oversaw the Prosecution Legal Assistant section within the Enforcement Division, which includes 33 legal assistants and administrative assistants. On August 31st, we also had Senior Investigator Esmer Arguello, who retired after 21 years of service with TDLR. Esmer conducted investigations of cases in the building and mechanical, water well, and property tax programs. On February 15th, we had Jackie Ravia, who was promoted to Legal Assistant Supervisor. Jackie has worked with TDLR for 18 years, previously serving as a legal assistant and senior legal assistant in Enforcement Division. Then more recently, Jackie was promoted again to legal assistant manager, taking over Daryl's duties. On February 15th, we have Debbie Hawkins, who was promoted to legal assistant supervisor. Debbie has worked for TDLR for 8 years as a legal assistant in the Enforcement Division. And on March 1st, John Medlock was promoted to chief prosecutor. And John has worked for TDLR, for 7 years, previously serving as a prosecutor and senior prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. And then on May 1st, Trevor Thielen was promoted to senior prosecutor. Sorry, my computer has frozen, so I'm going to reach for some notes. Gotta love technology. And Trevor has worked for TDLR for 9 years as a prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. So we'd just like to say congratulations to all the folks on their retirements and promotions. Now we'd like to share some statistics with you on the cosmetology program. For fiscal year 2020, which started September 1st, 2019 and ended on August 31st, 2020, the department opened 1,979 cases and resolved 1,852 of those cases. The average time to close was 125 days. 72.41% of the cases were resolved within 6 months. And as you can see, I believe from your chart there, that was slightly better than the 6-month average for TDLR cases agency-wide. We had 22.41% of the department's cosmetology cases resulting in disciplinary action. Finally, we ended our fiscal year 2020 with 912 cases still pending. And now I have mentioned the disciplinary actions, and the graph below kind of breaks down those disciplinary actions into more specific categories. So I'll discuss some of those a little bit more in detail as we go through our case summaries, because I think it makes a little bit more sense to explain them in conjunction with the cases. We had one commission order in 2020, and there were 78 default orders. We had 319 agreed orders. We assessed $408,805 in penalties, and we have collected $349,157.50 of those assessed penalties thus far. We have revoked 9 licenses due to disciplinary actions. There have been no license suspensions, and 28 licenses were revoked or denied due to a criminal history disqualification. The department has issued 3 cease and desist orders, and these are used to stop an individual or a business from conducting illegal or unauthorized activity. Finally, we informally resolved 1,431 cases, and this can mean a number of things. It could mean that we closed a case because there was insufficient evidence, or it also might mean that a licensee renewed an expired license or fixed an issue with their salon, so the prosecutor may have closed the case with a warning. Next, we have the top 10 most common reasons for disciplinary action, and most of these relate somehow to sanitation issues. We have failure to clean and sanitize with 162 violations. You could go down just a little bit. I think that's the very next. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. We have no operator license or employed or leased to an unlicensed person. And you may ask, well, how is that related to sanitation? If someone or a shop isn't licensed, that means they're not getting inspected, and therefore we have no idea if they are performing any sanitation issues. So that's how that relates to it being a problem. We have cleaning logs are wrong or incomplete, 40 issued violations for that. Implements not sterilized or sanitized after use, 38. No foot spa cleaning records, 35. Criminal activity, 28. Failed to dispose of single-use equipment, 19, meaning, of course, it was a one-use item and they didn't throw it away. They continued to use it on other clients. No school or salon license, 16, and failed to clean or disinfect wax pots, 16. So those are your top 10 right there. And now, finally, I'd like to discuss a few cases with you that highlight some of the disciplinary actions that we were discussing and illustrate some of the enforcement division work and the ways in which we resolve them. Uh-oh, I'm seeing a blank screen. Is everybody okay out there? Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, we have Tiara Sherelle Calhoun-Smith, and she was doing business as SSL Skin Institute. Now, this was an agreed order, and you saw in that first chart, agreed orders are one of our disciplinary actions, and these come about when we issue an NOAV, or Notice of Alleged Violation. And the respondent then contacts the department and agrees to accept responsibility for the violation, and we settle the case. The department's goal is always compliance. So we encourage anyone who receives a notice from the department, please reach out to us, discuss your case. We can often work to reduce the fines if corrections are made. And so in this case, on March 24th, an agreed order was signed that finalized the settlement agreement between the department and SSL's Skin Institute. And as part of this negotiated settlement, the owner, Tiara Sherelle Calhoun-Smith, accepted liability for failing to provide a student refund, implementing course content without approval from the department, and possessing a product that penetrates the dermis of the skin layer, which in this case was dermaplaning. The order imposed a penalty of $7,875, and to date she's in compliance with her payment plan. Next, we have Tran Nails LLC, doing business as Nails by Kim 2, and this was another agreed order. On February 5th, 2020, an agreed order was signed that finalized a settlement agreement between the department and Tran Nails LLC. As part of this negotiated settlement, owner Tran Nails accepted liability for failing to dispose of a single-use item after using it on a client, failing to use a dry heat sterilizer in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions, and failing to clean and disinfect Whirlpool foot spas. The penalty has been paid in full, and they're in compliance. Next on our list, we have Crystal Valencia Jones. This case was a default order. And now a default order occurs when the prosecutor issues that notice of alleged violation and the respondent, whether it be a licensee or an unlicensed person, does not respond to the department. So this is just a good place to remind our licensees, please keep your addresses up to date, because we use the address on record with the department when we're sending out any communications at all. So it's super important that if you move or you get a new business address or anything like that, please notify the department. You can do it online, you can call in, but we need to know your current address. On February 18th, 2020, the executive director granted the department's motion for default against Crystal Valencia Jones. Ms. Jones was assessed a penalty of $1,000 for performing or attempting to perform cosmetology without a license, and Ms. Jones has not complied with this order. Next, we have Williams W. Bailey, and this case was one that was a revocation by operation of law. So on December 16th, 2019, Mr. Bailey submitted his cosmetology esthetician license renewal application to the department. However, in May of 2018, Mr. Bailey was imprisoned as a result of his conviction for the felony offense of insurance fraud. A provision in the Occupations Code automatically revokes an occupational license when the licensee is imprisoned for a felony, as Mr. Bailey was. The department notified Mr. Bailey that his license had been revoked by operation of law on the day that he entered prison, and he will be eligible to apply for a new license once he's no longer in prison. Finally, our last case. This was our one commission order that you saw listed on our chart, Sac Van Lee. This commission order happened after the respondent requested a hearing, and the department then goes to that hearing. There is a proposal for decision issued by the administrative law judge, and then that hearing, that judge will issue that proposal for decision, and then it goes before the commission. And the commission will look at that proposal for decision, and they will find either that there was or there wasn't a violation. So in April 2019, Mr. Lee submitted his cosmetology operator's license renewal application to the department. This application includes a question that asked if the respondent had been convicted of any felonies or misdemeanors since his last renewal, to which Mr. Lee answered no. This was not accurate because in May 2018, Mr. Lee was convicted of the second-degree felony offense of aggravated assault. Mr. Lee's conviction for aggravated assault involved him entering a salon where his wife worked as a cosmetologist and pointing a gun at her in front of witnesses. He ended up leaving the salon without firing the weapon, but he did succeed in terrifying his wife, who told the police that she feared for her safety. Mr. Lee pled guilty to aggravated assault by using a deadly weapon and was sentenced to 3 years deferred adjudication probation. Based on the conviction, the department moved to revoke Mr. Lee's license, and Mr. Lee requested a hearing on the proposed revocation at the State Office of Administrative Hearings. After the contested case, the administrative law judge found for the department and issued a proposal recommending Mr. Lee's license be revoked and the renewal be denied. The ALJ issued the revocation and renewal denial not only because it appears in the criminal conviction guidelines, but because this crime was directly related to his profession. It occurred in a cosmetology salon, and the victim was another cosmetologist. So the proposal was subsequently adopted by the commission, and on March 24, 2020, his license was revoked. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I would just like to say our prosecution team is comprised of prosecutors for consumer complaints. It's prosecutors Chris Funderburg, Rebecca Burkhalter, myself, and Morgan Cumming. And for our inspection cases, we have prosecutors Amanda Barrera, Natalie O'Hara, and Arusa Nizami. So thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm available to answer them.
This is Mary Lindsay. Thank you for your report. And we'll go on to the regulatory report if we don't have any questions. This is the
Natalie
regulatory.
Inderman. Oh, excuse me, sorry. This is Natalie Inderman. No questions for Victoria. I just have to excuse myself for an appointment. So I wanted to let everyone know that I would be exiting now, but thank you for all of your time and I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you, Ms. Enderman.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good afternoon. My name is Marinelle LaFleur. I'll be giving the staff report for the regulatory program management. As we all know, Elizabeth Bettis retired on August 31st, 2020. She began working for TDLR when the regulation of cosmetology transferred. She worked for the state of Texas for over 43 years. Her knowledge and dedication to the programs were admirable and she will be deeply missed. The current projects we have now are House Bill 28, the implementation of House Bill 28 that provides for the regulation of remote services in businesses and digital prearranged remote services. A remote business is any business that enables a client to schedule digital prearranged remote services with a person who holds a Texas cosmetology license. The allowable services may be offered to customers are limited. Digital prearranged remote services are scheduled via on an app or a website that is operated by a remote service business, although the scheduling may happen through any online enabled system. TDLR does not license remote service businesses and or person business, whether licensed by TDLR or not, may operate a remote service business. We have developed and dedicated web pages for consumers and businesses that can be found on the right-hand side of the menu of the Cosmetology web page. Jerry Gonzalez and myself are maintaining the list of businesses that notify TDLR of their intent to provide digital prearranged remote services businesses. And the data will be used for internal monitoring and regulatory purposes. Staff has been involved in the development of the new Texas licensing system, and we've also been helping licensing with processing applications. During the COVID pandemic, RPM staff has been able to attend several conferences and hair shows due to cancellations, including the Image Expo in May, the Texas Industrial Vocational Association, TIVA, that took place in July, and the Armstrong McCall Hair Show in September. Staff has been assisting Education Examination Division with school outreach and updates. And if you're aware of any upcoming outreach opportunities that we may be able to attend virtually, please contact Jerry Gonzalez. So that concludes my report. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Marinella. There are no questions, and we'll go to the Field Inspection Division.
Good afternoon, members. My name is Fernando Reyes. I'm the South Region Manager with Field Inspections Division, and I'll be providing you our staff report today. Before I begin, I just want to give a quick shout out to Marinella and Bibi and express our sincerest appreciation for their guiding resources and helping us out in the field. I know when I was a field inspector, I had tapped on them for many a times to get questions answered and things done. Again, you will be missed. I know Bibi's off the call right now, but Marinella, I'm really gonna miss you. Thank you for everything you did for us.
Thanks.
There's been a slight change to our staff report in reference to the order of how our report is. We are substituting the current projects. We combine them with the COVID-19 response, and we are putting the most common violations in that section. So I'll start off with the statistics. Here are the statistics for through fiscal year 2020. If you'll, this is a combination of cosmetology salons, dual establishments, cosmetology mini salons, and dual mini salons, totaling out the fiscal year 17,053. As you can note, we suspended inspections as of March 17th of 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and returned in a limited capacity on May 19th, 2020. The next sheet will show the cosmetology schools. At the fiscal year 2020, we had 675 done at that time to wrap up the cosmetology school statistics. Again, you'll note in quarter two, in March, we were at 38, and then we dropped down to 1 per month, and then May was 4. We picked them back up as we started a new process to do that. I'm going to go ahead and move along to most common violations found. I'll start off with the establishments. Now, these are the results of inspections for these top violations. Number 1, failed to post individual licenses. And I'll briefly summarize these. I'll move to number 5. Failed to store clean implements in a dry debris-free area. And rounding up the top 10, failed to post the most recent current inspection in public view. For the schools, number 1, also failure to display an album containing the permits. That was the top violation for the schools, cosmetology schools. Number 6, failure to electronically submit a student's withdrawal or termination from the department within 10 days. That is a common violation that we've been finding at number 6. And number 10, use a time clock without having the required postings next to that time clock. Going into the COVID-19 response, we suspended, as I told you before, we suspended inspections in March 17th of 2020. After distributing, we created a training for our inspectors, ranging from issuing them personal protective equipment to going out in the field and how they're interacting with the public and with the licensees or the representatives. We gave them specific guidance to do that in the safest way as possible. And we began performing limited on-site inspections in May 2020. Those limited on-site were really initials for schools because they had to be done, and we started testing a virtual inspection process. Keep in mind, we were not operating, we were trying to do this with the restrictions of the health and safety concerns, but also on a limited travel budget came into play with that. In response to these concerns, we implemented all this VIP, what we call virtual inspection project, and we got that off the ground. We have some statistics here for the virtual inspections that are completed May 19 to September 4 of 2020. Cost salons, 517. Cost schools, 131. And total virtual inspections, 648 within that time period. We have jumped up a little bit more as we're now in October. So these are not actually current, but these were for the time frame. A little bit about the VIP process overview. And I want to make sure I assure members of the board and anybody who's watching out there that an inspector can be asked to present his business card or his ID at any time during that virtual inspection. And I don't know if you guys can see it. We provide them with a card, and we provide them with our ID. Now, this may be a state issued ID or a regional division agency ID. These can be asked for at any time during that virtual inspection, and that is to assure that you actually are working with a TDLR inspector, that it is one of us that's doing the inspection, and we also provide callback numbers and emails and things like that. So during the virtual inspection, we coordinate with the licensee ahead of time to make sure that they have the technology to support the virtual inspection, that they have access to the platform, either FaceTime or Google Duo, and then we establish that, and if they do, then we're good to go. There's a couple of parameters, during that time, during the inspection, will guide the inspector. The inspector will guide the licensee or the representative through the inspection step by step. So they'll be directing them how to look at a certain signage. If there's signage on the exterior, we need to cover that in a certain motion, or we're reviewing equipment, chemicals, anything like that, and stored in different places around the shop. At the conclusion of that inspection, the inspector will cover all of whatever he identified in that inspection on the POI. We have moved to a digital POI form where there's we don't have a signature for it, but we just have a stamp for it. We know everything. We cover all the violations that are listed there, all the inspector's information, and at the conclusion of that inspection, that POI will be emailed to the licensee. If the licensee in some cases does not have an email or is not able to print something, the inspector will then provide that to our administrative staff, and our administrative staff in field inspections will mail them a hard copy of the POI and any other documents that they need at that time. I want to commend the industry, the cosmetology industry, for this process. And I know we got it off the ground rather quickly. There's a lot of moving pieces to it, but I do want to send a commendation to that industry. And it's a learning process on both ends for the inspectors, for TDLR, and for the public. They've received us very well. And I just want to say thank you to all those who have had those virtual inspections, and we'll continue to do our best in that respect. This concludes my report. If there's nothing else or anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
No questions? Okay, we'll move on to item number 7, Executive Office report.
Ms. Lindsay, before you begin, this is on the clock with TDLR, but Ms. Robbins needs to leave. The meeting, we will lose quorum, but we're not taking a vote on anything. So I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Acting Presiding Officer Lindsay and board members. This is David Gonzalez, Deputy Executive Director of Licensing Services. So advisory board feedback has been critical to our agency's success. So I want to thank you for your continued volunteer service, including you, Mary Lindsay, covering in the chair's absence and helping us overcome the occasional technical difficulties. Kind of comes with the territory, but it's not always expected, and you're doing a great job for us. Thank you for being there. The last time that we saw this group was mid-February, and it was just prior to the COVID shutdown. A lot has happened since then. As with the rest of the nation and the world in regards to COVID, we're kind of learning as we go. Very proud of my staff and the reports that they added to show you all the COVID response. It makes my job a little bit easier to summarize, but each division has their own aspects and things to deal with, and they incorporated some of that into their reports today. As you might imagine, the safety of our staff and the public we serve are prominent in our thoughts and actions. So compiling the past 7 months, a little bit difficult for 2020. There's so many things, but I'm going to describe it in 2 ways. There's an external response, which we basically did by keeping our website updated and having a COVID-19 page that shares all the information that we gather from the CDC, from the DSHS, governor's executive orders. All that information is being put online. We review that information to see how it affects each one of our different programs, and we try to do our best to engage and communicate with the program's licensees so that they know what's expected of them. When we had to take down inspections or halt inspections, y'all were informed of that. We curbed our outreach efforts because we couldn't do trade shows and industry events. We put that information out on our website as well. Developing guidelines so that after we shut down in March, we could open back up in May, coordinating with the governor on his Open Texas plan. That was some hard work that we did behind the scenes to try to make that happen. And those guidelines that were provided, we hope was helpful to the industry, even though I know it gets confusing. We saw the social media blow up. We saw all the questions that are coming. We were doing our best to, again, coordinate the CDC, DSHS, even local governments and the counties getting into the mix on edicts and requirements that they were expecting. And it sounds like somebody's joining us. We also had some challenges with PSI, with the practical examinations and written examinations, because they had to shut down. But as explained by our Education Examination Division, they endured and overcame, and PSI, our third-party provider, worked with us to get us more providers to make it available, and so we can do some catch-up on the backlog. Again, a lot of hard work going into it, all for our external response. The internal response, I want to make sure y'all understand that we are not immune to the effects of COVID. We've actually had some staff that contracted or tested positive for COVID. So we had to go through the exercise of cleaning up offices, sanitizing offices. We've been doing the temperature checks. And as we try to rotate return to office for our staff, not all of our staff were able to even go home and work from home because of the job that they do. Our finance division, the mailroom, those are all things coming in. They still had to come to the office. Our licensing division staff, they still had to come to the office to pick up work, sometimes doing scanning work so they can maintain their focus on applications and processing them. But they had to have it in a digital format so they could do it beyond hours that we were working. I want to make sure that y'all understand that it's not something that we did by ourselves. We weren't planning for this. So when it happened in March and our executive director decided we need to do the best to keep our staff safe, we had to make a big switch. So kudos to our IT staff that were able to get most of our staff working from home with a seamless turnaround, virtually seamless for us. We had staff that had to learn how to do these virtual communications, how to send in their reports, how to do virtual inspections. All those things are being explored in this new environment. And I can't tell you, nobody wishes another disaster such as this pandemic, but this disaster is going to make us better. It's going to make us stronger, more resilient, and a little bit smarter in how we can potentially do business in the future, including meetings where y'all don't have to travel from faraway places in Texas just to be at the meeting if we can still get our work done. Also want to give a shout out to our HR division staff who are dealing with all the families, parents that are doing their work and keeping up with everything TDLR required of them while still having to have kids at home that they're doing schooling for, or loved ones that were getting ill and having to receive care. So all the questions related to the FFCRA, Families First Coronavirus Response Act, all the things related to timekeeping and extra hours, that's a big deal. And so kudos to HR division and IT division to get that done. We are working on the return to office transition plan. We're not quite at 25%, but by November 1st, we hope to be closer to that. We've been moving very cautiously, and we're probably just under 20%, but we're in no rush. If we can keep our staff safe and keep them productive, which they've been very productive being able to get their work done, we're going to continue to keep them safe. That's been our efforts in regards to COVID-19. Any questions? All right. I'm going to move on to the strategic plan. I see Alicia is back. Do we need to acknowledge the chair is back, or do we still wait on sound?
Alicia, do you have sound? Do you have
Can you
audio?
hear me? Can you hear
Gotcha.
me?
Awesome. You're
Okay.
back.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Awesome.
All right. So, Miss Alicia, I am on the second part of the executive report and strategic plans. Thank you, Mary Lindsay.
Could I say something about how much we appreciate the schools and what all that TDLR has done for us during the COVID crisis, and how they stepped up and really supported us and helped us as schools and what we were going through. And we appreciate all the support. And I know the advisory board also appreciates the support that TDLR gave us. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Mary Lindsay. We tried our best. David Gonzalez, TDLR, continuing on with the executive report on strategic planning. So this agency, if you've been with us for a while, takes strategic planning seriously. We've been doing it every 2 years in between legislative sessions. This is how we gather the information. We got some smart people working at TDLR, but most of our knowledge and insight and good ideas actually comes from the public. And these strategic plans that we do, we go out to the public, usually in person, visiting cities, taking input, asking questions of the public, like if you were king or queen for a day, what law or rule you would change? If you could improve upon something that we did related to the pandemic, what would that be? We asked those questions, but we couldn't do it in person this year. We had to do it virtually. And I will say that that was a success for us as well. Using the Poll Everywhere app, we were able to get great participation, especially from this industry and a few others from the agency. Y'all were more experienced with it and comfortable with voicing y'all's opinion. Some strong opinions out there on how things should be done, and we welcome it. It's something that we need to hear. Those ideas that we receive from strategic planning, they actually go into our strat plan, which Brian Francis, our executive director, refers to as the agency's game plan. If you don't know anything else about this agency and you wanted to know what we're going to be doing for the next couple of years, that strat plan, which is under agency reports on the front page of our website, you can go down to agency reports. You want to read it and review that. That's going to give you the game plan for our agency. It's very important. We put a lot of work into it, and it actually gives us an idea of how we're going to move forward with our legislative requests, should the legislature be interested in what the public has to share with us about what could be better and what we could do better as an agency. Any questions on strat planning? All right. I'm going to move on to the Sunset Commission report. This is probably the most significant part of the executive report today. If y'all have been keeping tabs, we actually have had a sunset review that started last year. They rolled up their sleeves, they embedded themselves with us, they attended examinations, they were in our business, got reports from all of our different divisions. It's like going through an interrogation, if you will, to find out what we do, how we do it, and these are some smart people. They reviewed that information and have issued the report. As of June 4th, they issued their staff report. We had the opportunity to respond to their findings. This is not a love fest. This is not a report where they're going to give you all kinds of kudos. They're trying to find out what we can do better, how we can do things better. So they found some issues, and we've taken the opportunity to respond. The public also has an opportunity to respond to this report because it is just recommendations from the Sunset staff. There is still a process that these things have to go through. The significant recommendations and findings of this Sunset report is that they are proposing some changes to the bar cause programs, including pretty major one would be consolidation of the bar cause programs, maybe doing away with instructor licenses, pretty significant recommendations that they've made. The public has been pretty vocal, and on the Texas Sunset Commission website, they've started giving their public comments and feedback. There's still time to do that. Until we actually go to a hearing, there is time for the public to provide the feedback that y'all think necessary. We heard public comment from commenters earlier today who feel strongly about it. Definitely, we want to hear where people are, what they're thinking and where they're coming from. But the most appropriate forum would be to the Texas Sunset Commission, so they can decide to incorporate it into their report as an amendment or a change. And that Sunset Commission would be reviewing that input and deciding whether or not they want to make modifications. Ultimately, after the Sunset Commission gets done with their work, it could go before the legislature, and they could adopt some, all, or none of the recommendations. We're hoping they at least keep the recommendation to keep our agency going for another few years. That's the most significant and important one for us, but there's no guarantees. So public's participation is very important. We've embraced this process. This process has been a great thing for many years. We were overdue for our Sunset Commission because we kept on growing. They kept on giving us programs as part of some other Sunset recommendations. We had been passing on the Sunset review, and now that we've got it, it's like, oh God, I'm so glad that it's happened, because now we have the opportunity to fix some things that we've probably been needing some help with, and they've identified some things that we can improve upon. I have to give kudos to one of my peers, the Deputy Executive Director, Christina Kaiser. She actually was assigned the task of looking at the management actions, which are separate from legislative action, but management actions that are just good ideas Sunset put out there that we were willing to consider and start incorporating as soon as possible. She was tasked with looking into that, and we've already made progress on some of those recommendations related to things about keeping tabs on numbers and how we can be better facilitate our enforcement division and just the information that we put out to the public. It's been very valuable, again, to get the input and feedback from the Sunset report. I think that's the most important part of the report today. I have some numbers to share, but if there's any questions on Sunset, I'd like to stop here and give you an opportunity. Yes, Sam, or Chair?
Sam Webb. I am just wondering about Sunset. When is their hearing going to be? Is there any clue? And is it definitely going to be before the session starts?
Oversight on my part. You're absolutely right. I needed to mention that. So we were actually scheduled for a hearing in late September, September 24th. But because they were being challenged on how they were going to hold these hearings, they pushed us back. They did hold some hearings for some other agencies on September 23rd. So if you want to see what the format's going to look like, they went with a virtual and an in-person, so a blended approach. It was very well done, very professional. They may or may not have had as many people would show up for our agencies with 40 different programs. So they may have to think of the logistics of a program our size or an agency our size. But we expect to get a date soon. We don't have one right now. I promise you, as soon as we find out, it will be put up on our website. We will want to prepare ourselves for it. But yeah, that Texas House of Representatives, you can see the video archive for the sunset hearings they held and get an idea of how they're going to proceed and what their expectations are. But it was well run. Again, if you wanted to make comments, you can do it now. You don't have to wait for the hearing. But when the hearing comes, there should be an opportunity, and they may open it up to digital. They may open it up to in person. We won't know until they actually give us the guidelines and the rules. All right. Anna, if you could go ahead and put the outreach statistics up. So we share this information with you because it's, again, the way we communicate with the public is our website. If we're doing a good job of getting information out there, you may not have to talk to us because you can do everything online or find out everything you need to at your fingertips because you have a phone in hand. Over the past 6 months, from April to September, the Cosmetology website had 805,943 views. That's an amazing amount of traffic. That's 4,869 visits per day. 30% of those visitors accessed the site from a desktop computer, 68% did so from a smartphone, and 2% from a tablet. So again, everybody doing business on their phones, the ease of use, if we can get the information out there, or if you see things that we need to put on our website that don't fall into these categories, let us know. We want to make the best website that we can so the public's getting the self-service that they deserve and make it easier for them. Top reasons for visiting the site included renewing an individual cosmetology license, which makes sense, the law, the rules, exam information, which has been a big deal for us and the public, and then transferring a cosmetology license from another state or country. So that concludes my report. I'll be glad to answer any questions over any of it. Back to you.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item H, and I'm about to call Molly Fladell.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Molly Fudell. I'm an Assistant General Counsel here at TDLR. I'm new on the cosmetology program. Your former Assistant General Counsel, Colleen Tran, has left the agency, and her deeply. She left some big shoes to fill. So we're doing our best. And luckily, I'm not on my own in trying to learn the program and fill Colleen's shoes. We have another Assistant General Counsel named Alex Phipps, who is helping me out, and he's a co-Assistant General Counsel on the program. He's lurking somewhere in this meeting. I don't know if he's going to turn on his video, but he's here somewhere. So anyway, oh, there he is. I'm going to give you an update on some rulemaking that has occurred since your last meeting. You met last in February of this year, and you probably remember at that time you voted to recommend adopting some rules to implement bills from last legislative session. And those bills went to the commission, or excuse me, those rules went to the commission, and they adopted those rules, and they were effective March 15th, 2020. There was a little hiccup after that, and there was a clerical error that was made in the text of the rules. And it didn't reflect what should have been there. Fortunately, it was caught by staff pretty early, and we got to work very quickly correcting the text. And it was only in a small portion of the rules. It was in Rule 83.72, Responsibilities of Beauty Culture Schools. And so essentially what it was some of the text just got misplaced. It was like a copy paste error. So in the section that lists out the required equipment for the various curriculums, I believe in the esthetician, for the esthetician curriculum, it listed the required equipment for cosmetology operator curriculum. And then for manicure, it listed esthetician. So we got to work fixing it, and the commission passed emergency rules on June 30th of this year, correcting that error. Those emergency rules are only effective temporarily, so we went ahead with the full rulemaking to permanently correct the text, and we finished that up last week on Tuesday. The commission met and they adopted those rules to permanently fix that language. So as of now, it is all corrected, and we are moving forward full speed ahead with the correct language in place. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, I think we're having Mary Winston, TDLR. I think we are having a couple of additional glitches. That's okay. We are easing on down the road. If there are no questions for Molly on this, or if someone has a question, there is Alicia. She's back. That's no problem. Look, this is technology and it's fantastic technology, but sometimes we just have stuff, right? So, beyond our control, and we'll just keep plugging along. So Molly just wrapped up on agenda item H and asked if there were questions. I did not see any. Just you probably want to confirm that, Alicia, and handing it back over to you.
Thank you, Mary. Did anyone have any questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to item agenda I, recommendations for agenda items for the next advisory board meeting.
I see that Mr. Webb has raised his hand. Mr. Webb, if you could take yourself off mute.
Yes, thank you. I definitely want to discuss I assume the Sunset Commission will have spoken by then, and that we definitely have that agenda item to discuss those matters. I don't know if it needs to formally be on there or not.
We will likely include it as part of the executive report, just as we've done this last couple times. David Gonzalez, TDLR, so you can be assured as soon as we get with the sunset, we'll have something to report back to you guys.
As always, Mary Winston, as always, if no one has additional items or additional items that come up following this meeting, please contact TDLR and the advisory board staff at advisory.boards@tdlr.texas.gov so that we can consider those for the next meeting. I know this has been a long one, and I appreciate everyone. I'm not rushing us at all. If we have other ideas, please bring them to the forefront. But I just wanted to make sure that if you're a little tired or you need a little break and we're almost wrapping up and you have something that comes up after this meeting, please feel free to reach out to us. I am not seeing our chair, so we're still having those glitches. And I want to thank Mary Lindsay for, pinch hitting here. So we are going to move to the agenda item J, which is discussion of dates, times, and looks like the location is going to be whatever room you're in. So Alicia, I see you pop back on, and we did go through agenda item I concerning recommendations for agenda items, and Mr. Webb did indicate he wanted a sunset update.
Yes.
And I did let them know that if you have other items that come before that time of the next meeting, that you can definitely contact advisory.boards email. And I pushed it forth to agenda item J. So dates and times.
Yes. What date and time would everybody like to try to reconvene again? When is the next one that we have set up at a specific time?
So Mary Winston, TDLR. So because we are not quite sure when sunset, the commission will meet and get us on on their agenda, it's possible for us to get Anna to poll for dates that we can kind of set in stone later on. She'll generally contact you with 2 or 3 dates, and we get a popular consensus, and that's when we do that. So if that pleases the board, because just trying to help through this little technical glitch, we can do that at this time and just say that we will poll the board at a later date. Anna, thumbs up? Thumbs up. So that moves us to agenda item K. I can't adjourn the meeting, so I'm staff. So Mary, Lindsay, would you announce meeting adjournment and the time that you're adjourning?
This is Mary Lindsay, and it's 3:50, and we're adjourning the meeting.
Thank you for
Thank you so much,
everyone.
everybody.